Alright, guys. We're live. I think we should be live here in a couple seconds. If we're not, let's wait for it to come up here. So what I'm going to do is explain what NVI or new tech is, and how it works with OBS, and how the plugin that this guy made, how it works with streaming with no capture card, and basically streaming with no complex audio setups, no complex mixers, no ground loops needed. None of that stuff is needed to make the system work. So that's pretty cool. Overall, the system is kind of neat. I'm gonna kind of show you what's going on here. So this is basically NDI. They've made it's open source. So what they do is everything gets streamed over your IP or over your LAN network. And what allows that to happen is it allows you to stream as long as you have like a gigabyte router or high bandwidth routers. Definitely going to be gigabyte minimal router over LAN. Two computers would be hooked up over a Cat5 or Cat6 cable. No Wi-Fi would work. It just wouldn't be stable enough to stream the audio, a high bit rate. What it do is to stream the quality of the video, the lossless quality over the network. So we can take actually look at my performance right now and actually look at my Ethernet. So I'm sending 112 megabits per second over the bandwidth over the network right now to the other computer. That's what's streaming the quality of the video right now. So we can kind of look at that as that goes. So what's going out is between the stream and to the other computer is 113 is going out right now, and being received is 4.4. So you need a lot of bandwidth on the router, so that's what I said. Gigabyte routers would be necessary. Cat5 or Cat6 cables connected to the same router, but both computers is necessary, and that's it really. And two good computers. You need two dual core or quad core chips, preferably Intel. I can show you the chips I'm running right now. Let's see here. Where's computer specs? System. What's this? So here's my computer specs. Nothing fancy. It's on a little Alienware laptop. It's an i7. It's running for cores. Let's see if we can show the cores here. I don't know if it shows it this or not. But it's this 8-core processor, or 4-core with 8 threads. So I'm utilizing all threads right now. So to set up OBS, you're going to use preferably two clean installs of OBS Studios. So you can go to obviously OBS, click here, go to download the installer, put it on your gaming PC, and then put it on the stream PC. Restart both computers if you haven't installed OBS before. If you have OBS installed already on your gaming PC, and you have been playing with a single PC, which I will show right now. So we're going to be dual monitoring right now for a second here. Just close that. And what we'll see is a loop screen over and over and over. And what we're looking at right now is basically your basic OBS. And for settings right now, you look at this. This is what my normal setup was before I switched over. Everything's all set up. You know, I'm not using this anymore. So all this stuff was all set up from before. My scene, now it's at 1080p, 30 FPS, because my computer can't handle the stream any higher. And if you want to see what's going on here, you go to View, Stats. This bar right here is going to be crucial for you to understand what's going on with the computer. So it's going to send bandwidth, so it's going to be kind of doing a partial encode to send the latency over, but it's lossless, so it's going to be fast. It's not going to be doing any encoding. It's just going to be sending the raw file over, so there's no actually hard encoding and dropping the bitrate down and compressing the files down, so it's going to free up the CPU a lot. This is what allows me to actually bring the CPU up to go to 1080p. Before I was forced to be locked at 720p to stream. Now this is actually able to stream at 1080p. So what you're going to look at now is frames missed by render lag and frames skipped by encoding lag. If you're missing frames or skipping frames due to rendering lag, this is actually a GPU problem. If you see this start going up, it means your GPU is getting maxed out. If you see this going up, that means your CPU is getting maxed out. So these two things are important. I'm running a 765M GPU by NVIDIA. So my GPU is not very strong. So I gotta watch this really carefully. If you have a high-end GPU, high-end CPU on your gaming PC, you're not gonna have any issues here. Now we'll jump over to how to install this. So we'll go back here, close this. We go to this project file right here. It's called OBS project on the forums. It's a plugin that the guy made from NewTek, because they do offer software development kits, SDKs. So it allows you to actually go in here and develop your own things. And this guy made a plugin for OBS, which is really cool. There's a 64-bit version and a 32-bit version. You can see the stuff that he's done. He's actually done a lot of work on this program. And to click it, it's going to go to the download site. That's going to take you to a GitHub. And the current version is 4.2. And you want to download the installer. Now you don't want OBS running, streaming, and that kind of stuff. You just want the install to be done. You want to download this. You're going to open this. You're going to click English. You're going to follow the prompts I haven't already installed. Just follow it through and then restart your PC. And I do that for both computers. I'm not going to install it because I already have it installed. You're just going to go there. I'll post this in the stream chat. And for the people watching on YouTube, I will post that on the YouTube, just on the description page. So if you're watching this live on Twitch, I'll put it in chat. And if you're watching on YouTube later on, I'll post it in the description on how to get this link. So obviously you need OBS. Pretty clear to get that. Go to obsproject.com, download it, make sure you got that, and then make sure you got the NDI plugin. Those two things are very important for this to work. So now that you got them both installed, what you're going to see in OBS, you're going to go to Tools, you're going to NDI Output Settings. This should be here if everything went properly. If you go to the Windows installer, it's going to give you the runtime and the plugin. That's exactly what you want. You don't want to try and do it manually or that kind of stuff. It's going to make a big issue. It's going to cause a lot of problems. This is what you want. So on your gaming PC, instead of going to start stream now, what you're going to do is you're going to go to Tools, NDI Output. You're going to check the box. You can name this whatever you want. I just left the default OBS so you can just find it easily. And then you just click OK. And once this is enabled, it's sending the stream over to the other PC, or sending it on the network for it able to be found. So what you're going to do for all your scenes, like you normally do on your single PC setup, you have your Streamlabs, you have your webcam overlay, you can have your webcam set up, you have your display capture or game capture or whatever you're using like you normally would. You don't need to clone monitors or any of that kind of bullshit. You don't need to, like some guys do on OBS. They'd go to full screen project preview and then send it over to the other screen with a capture card so they can stream with 144 FPS or 144 refresh rate monitors. This will still work with those refresh rate monitors. You're not going to have any issues because all you do is you're capturing the display or capturing the game capture, and then through NDI it's sending the signal over. So there's no capture card needed. There's no restrictions with frame rate. So your monitor will still do 144 frames per second or 144 refresh rate hertz, whatever you want to call it. It'll still work properly. There aren't going to be any issues there. Your audio settings, everything can be linked into the main PC. So your gaming PC is going to be your main hub. Your audio settings will be your normal audio settings. So if you have an interface, a Scarlett 2 or a Rode interface or whatever you're using, or just a standard USB interface for your mic like I'm using, you can just plug that into your gaming PC and the audio gets sent over. So you set up your audio signals here. You're going to go into audio, you set all your stuff up in here. I use a virtual audio cable for my audio settings and my game speakers. That's how I have everything set up. And like I said, for video, you just leave it at 1080p. If you want 60 FPS, you put it at 60. If you want 30, you put 30. I can't do 60 because this computer, his GPU is not strong enough to push 30. When I'm playing games, it actually starts rendering frame drops because of it. So that's just all depends on your computer power and what you can and can't do. That's going to be up to you to figure that out. Like I said before, you have to go to stats right here, preview and stats. And then just watch this on a second monitor. Run the game, start it up at 1080p, 60 FPS. And just watch this. If you're dropping frames, like I said, if you're dropping frames due to rendered lag, then you need to make sure that it's a GPU problem. I think I have the page bookmarked. And if I don't, I'll find it for you guys. There was a page I have with all the information about it. Let's see, I don't think I have it here. Should have it here. I thought it was here. Oh, here it is. I'll post this in the description too. I'll post this in the chat. This is an important thing to look at when you're setting up OBS. This guy did a lot of information. He talks about skip frames. He talks about lagged frames. He talked about drop frames. He talks about what they all mean, what they are. So like here, lagged frames is GPU processing power. And there's some issues to fix that. And then he talks about some problems, what causes it. He talks about what causes drop frames. Then he talks about skip frames in here. Skip frames is CPU load. So if your CPU is maxing out, you'll skip frames. If you're lagging frames, it's GPU. If you're dropping frames, it's internet. So, like I said, that's an important page to have, and I'll make sure I post that in the description. I did. And so, like I said, this little description thing on the stats is going to be important. Make sure that your processing power is strong enough. And the good thing with the dual PC is you can push all the encoding power to the CPU. Your CPU is not going to be hindered by the game. Everything's getting pushed to the second PCs and be encoding the stream. And I don't have a really high-end CPU on the computer that's streaming right now. It's a decent computer, but it only has a dual-core CPU that's doing the encoding for the stream right now. So it's limited to 720p. You have a dual-core or an i7 or a 4770K or whatever the high-end CPUs are out at the time. If you're running an 8000 series CPU or the new Coffee Lake or the new KB Lakes, any of the i7s or i5s will do the encoding fine, and you can turn the encoding down, and we can talk about the encoding settings here in a second, how to get everything working properly. But basically, your default single PC stream that you had before, everything just stays the same. Your audio settings, everything gets set up here. And we'll switch over to the computer here in a second and show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so we're going to switch over. So we're back on the other PC now. This is the streaming PC, and you're going to see bitrate, what's going on here. Again, I have the stats up here. So same thing, I went here and click on stats. It's on the streaming PC. And what we see right here is, we're going to see a lot of lag because it's over TeamViewer, just because I don't have the computer here. It's hard to actually display this. To set up a scene, to capture all this, you're going to click on the little plus button, and what you should have on the streaming PC is NDI source. So what you're going to do is click that, you're going to click source, and what you're going to have pop up is this. You're going to have the drop-down box for whatever the stream is. Stream norm, it's OBS by default. And you can set the bandwidth. You want to set it to the highest. You want to leave it to internal sync. Uncheck. You can use hardware acceleration, but leave it off. If you're having issues, you can turn it on, but you shouldn't have any problems if you have a good CPU. Generally, software problems is not going to be causing issues. Just leave it on like that. And then internal, that's how my settings are. And what you're going to see is everything comes through here. The mix that you have on... it's wrong. I'll bring up the other PC. Show you. Oops. So it's going to look really weird because it's going to be duplicating screens, but you can kind of understand what's going on here. I can actually turn off the preview on this so you can actually understand what's going on a little bit better. So my audio, my mix, everything is right here on this mixer interface. So your mix is all on, this is on the gaming PC, and this is on the streaming PC. So the streaming PC is just taking the audio signal and it's mixing everything in as one source. It doesn't need multiple sources, it just takes the audio and makes it work. So for my settings though, We'll close this down so we don't have duplicate screens popping all over the place. Let's disable the view for this for now, and we'll talk about what's going on here. So on stream output, what I've got set up here, I went to advanced. X264 is going to be important. X264 or X265, whatever is available at the time. Right now, only X264 is available for streaming on Twitch. X265 is coming up. This is a high bitrate, high quality encoder. You do not really want to go step into NVIC or QuickSync or AMD's version for their graphics cards. Especially on a dual PC, you want to let the CPU do the encoding. If you're running an Intel CPU or even new AMD Ryzen's, the CPU is going to do a much better job of encoding. It's going to be a cleaner image, and it's going to look so much better. Don't do rescale output. It doesn't work. It's not going to make it look proper. Like I said, when you're under advanced, you want to go to rate control, CBR, bitrate, somewhere around 5,000 to 6,000 bitrate. I got mine set at 5,500. The max cap for non-partnered streamers, I think, is 6,000 bitrate now on Twitch. So you want to put it right around there. So I put mine at 55, and on the audio tab, I put everything at 128. That usually caps me right around 6,000 for the bitrate. For keyframe intervals, we want to make sure they're set to 2. CPU usage, this is up to you, and based on your CPU, you have to figure that out. What kind of load it can take. This CPU, like I said before, it is only where are we at? So we're at 80 with TeamViewer. We're up at 80% on the CPU load. This, like I said, this is only a dual core. So you can show the specs on the computer. This is only a Pentium dual core. Running at 3.2 gigahertz. I've actually got the clock off of it anymore. I could actually put the overclock up to back up to 4.2 and actually get this probably running a lot better. This computer was just refreshed and I took the overclock off. I was having some issues with it. It's only got 8 gigs of RAM. It doesn't have a very good graphics card. The graphics card I don't think is even working properly right now. Let's look at device manager, see what we have. Display adapters. We got a 4800 Radeon. Like, it's an old piece of shit. And then we have the Intel graphics card. So we have nothing special for graphics in here. Nothing's needed for graphics, just to kind of display the image. We're not using any GPUs, just kind of some GPUs just to render frames. That's it. Nothing special. Most of the work is being done on the CPU side. Except for encoder, that's going to be something you have to look at. Like I said before in here, you're going to want to look at... If we get this... Cancel this, bring this down. That's too big. Bring settings back up. And like, what you're going to do is watch CPU usage. You're going to watch missed frames. You're going to watch drop frames. And then what you do is you just do tests with presets. You'd watch that. You'd watch your task manager. Right? And then you watch CPU usage. Basically what you'd want to watch. This is going to be CPU usage on OBS, not going to be a total CPU usage, so you have to look at this process power or performance, something like that would work. So this is running Windows 7. If it was running Windows 10 and the overclock was up higher, it actually would probably be able to get the drop down to faster. So same thing when you're running the encoder. The slower you can get it, I would run faster or fast. If you get down, it's going to do a better job of encoding the frames. So it'd be a much better image, less blurry, less pixelated. Audio settings, I would just put the sample rate to match whatever your OBS was on your gaming PC. So 144.1 was over there, so I matched it over here. Make sure stereos are in channels are in stereo. Sorry. So for video output, this is where you want to make sure that everything's set properly. This computer, like I said, because it's only a dual core, I don't stream over 720p. This is where I would do my encoding drop. Here is in this right here, and do the base canvas to 720p. So 1080 by 720, 780 by 2020, and then put it at whatever frame rate you can capture it at. It's up to you. Preferably 60 frames is ideal. Depending on your graphics card and CPU, you're going to have to scan enough to watch the stats, see what you can handle. If you're dropping frames or missing frames or skipping frames, then you have to keep dropping this down. This computer can only do 30 frames a second. This is on Windows 7, so you have to disable arrow. Windows 10, you don't have this option anymore. Hotkeys aren't needed. You need to put the preset processing priority to high. You want all the CPU power to go to the OBS on this streaming PC because it's doing the encoding. You want nothing else taking away from that. So you want this computer to be focused on OBS, and no matter what. So when OBS is running, you want everything, all the processing priority be going to the CPU, to OBS, not anything else. So that's crucial, and obviously these settings here are crucial output. Also, profile, I forgot to mention here, profile is set to main. This is important. You want to make sure that you're able to capture all the audiences. If you put it to high, some people say high, some people say main, baseline, blah, blah, blah. If you put it to main, every phone, what it does is it doesn't limit you from other phones and certain older phones not being able to watch the stream. So just set the profile to main. And also for film, I did a bunch of research on what tune is. The tune for film, animation, grain, still image. Grain you're not going to want, but that's going to cause more graining, more imaging. You don't want that. Animations for, well, animations. If you're doing cartoons and stuff like that, it's going to be more pixelated and blocky, so you don't want that. Films, and it helps smooth the images out and make it more for film. It's exactly what it means. So if you set it to film, you're going to have a smoother image, and you're going to have less pixelation and faster images than like grass, which for EFT or Escape from Tarkov has a lot of grass near the like woods and stuff. So it helps smooth out the rendering on that. So the grass doesn't look so pixelated, which is a big issue with a lot of people that stream, including myself, because I don't have processing power or the bit rate. So you have to compensate. And one of the things you can do here to try to smooth that a little bit, because we have low bit rate on the stream, is to put it to film. Will help smooth that out. So that's my presets. And we can see right here what's going on. And we can actually see when we switch to the scenes. I bring up the other computer. If I switch to AFK, you're going to see an AFK screen, right? And what I'm going to do, I got some scenes all screwed up here. Now if I switch to my cam screen, you're going to see my cam screen. And if you see, so all my scenes I have set up before, they're all given resize, but it's because I was goofing around with some stuff here. So I can switch over. I'll switch back to another scene here. So you can see that all these scenes are switchable. Oh, maybe you can't see it. All these scenes are switchable, and all I was doing was clicking on this. You can set up hotkeys for these and make it easy for you. This is all on the gaming PC, and it switches over on the stream PC. So there's no capture card. Everything works. And we can actually start up a game. I can show you how this works. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to minimize. We can see this going red a little bit, and we can see what's going on here, actually in the corner. What's happening is, I'm going to start this. We're going to take a peek at the other PC quickly. So let's close that. Oops. Close that. Now we got Escape from Tarkov starting up. And we can actually quickly look what's going on here. I'm actually dropping frames a little bit because I'm actually maxing out my encoding. This is due to just straight, it's because TeamViewer's up, it's actually maxing the CPU out. If I wasn't have TeamViewer up, which I normally don't, I just start this up and then close this. And it wouldn't cause any issues. It's going to cause a little bit of drop frames. I only dropped 11. But you can see standard bitrate. It's going to be holding like 6,000 right at that point, right? So we don't have any gear. So we'll just go in an offline raid just to kind of show you what it looks like. Actually, I should have a gun. I have a gun in here I can play with. offline. Alright, when that loads, we can quickly come back here, check some stats. Oops. I'm going to bring this over. Like I said, this is just come with trial and error with your computer settings. You have to figure this out. So as this is running, I'm dropping frames due to rendering lag. So I know I'm maxing stuff out. This is just, it happens sometimes. It's on EFT, it's kind of lags a little bit as the game kind of pauses. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. I'd be more worried about in a game, moving around. So for me, it's obviously a little too much. Because there's a setting here. For me, what was it? Graphics. I need to limit this to 60 FPS. What happens in EFT, it tries to use every single frame possible. What happens is if your GPU, for example, mine is on a limit, I don't have a lot of frames to start off with. I'm right on the edge. And most people aren't going to have this issue if they're running somewhat higher systems. I'll show FPS1. So I'm only capturing 53 frames. So I'm trying to stream out 60, right? So there's no extra frames in this computer right now. So what you're going to see is drop frames, or frames due to rendering lag. That's because there's nothing left in the GPU at this point. So the only way to fix this, for me, is to drop the resolution down. What we'll see is this get fixed. Now we're over 61 frames. We're not dropping frames anymore. You can see this right here. So that's why I play the game at 720p full screen, because it causes drop frames at 1080p. My CPU, my GPU can't handle it. Like I said, if you have a good dual core CPU and a new 1080 or 1050 Ti or a 1060, any of the new technology, even the 900 series GPUs or any of the high-end 480s, whatever the current AMD graphics cards are, the Vegas, those will do just fine. Just because I have a 700 series AMD mobile graphics card, it's not a desktop version, this is on a laptop, so I have a little bit of issues rendering. I have to drop the resolution down just to compensate for it. You won't have this issue if you're on a decent desktop. It's not going to be a problem. It's not going to cause any issues. But if you're wondering what's going on or why you're having issues, this is why, and this is how to troubleshoot that. And this is to troubleshoot, those kind of problems, right? So you see on the stream's not having any, or the streaming PC's not having any issues. It's still zero. Like, it's not rendering lack frames. We can actually go back to the game and actually watch it on the stream PC side as we play for a few seconds. And it's always good to do a little bit of tests, and you can just do recordings just to double check to make sure everything works before you go live. Make sure that you're not having any drop frames. Make sure you're not maxing out the CPU or maxing out the GPU. People think that, oh, I got a good CPU, I can stream. We need to have a decent GPU too. You need to have a decent GPU to do it too, and make sure that you're not having any drop frames or skip frames. Make sure that the image is smooth and not having any issues. And you can see that, for the most part, not dropping below 30 FPS on the stream PC. It's holding stable at 30, which is what it's supposed to do. It's not supposed to be consistently dropping all over the place. It might look kind of laggy. Shotguns are overpowered, but whatever. You can see basically there that everything's working properly. I'm not having any issues on the stream PC. Everything's working properly on my side. On this side, I stopped having rendered frames, so I can clearly see that this computer can't handle 1080p. I need to play the game at 720p on this particular PC setup. Like I said, that's going to be mild vary based on your computer. I think that's everything. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I'll be happy to try and troubleshoot them for you. And we'll get out of here quickly and close this up. Like I said, this is just a trial. This is going to demonstrate how everything works. And close that, close that. Kind of see, like I said before, all you need to do is set that source. Make sure on this output doesn't need to be checked because it's a stream PC. Just the gaming PC needs to have that checked, and it'll send it right over the network. Doesn't have any issues. Doesn't care. There's no capture card being used here. Everything's just working over the network, and I can still stream to Twitch or YouTube or whatever you want to use, not have any issues because you're on the LAN. The LAN can handle gigabyte streams or networks being pushed back and forth. It doesn't affect the WAN. The WAN is your output, is what your internet provider provides. Your LAN network is going to be whatever you're using inside your house. So if you have a lot of computers on the network, I'd try get on your own router and then hook that router up to the main line, and then just have the two computers or whatever the computers you have on your own router, and then networking on that own interface, and then setting that network out to the host or to your internet provider, whatever you're using. If you have multiple people using internet, it's not preferred, but you have to compensate for it. Just make sure, like I said before, go to performance and then go to Ethernet and just kind of check your speeds here. You'll see what you're going to be using for standard speeds, right? So hope that explains some stuff, and I hope you guys are able to get NDI set up on OBS. It's a pretty awesome tool. It's still fairly new, so you need to be keeping an eye on this GitHub page or on this page right here, and he'll update what's going on. He'll say what's up for his recent versions. The last version was updated December 16th, so I'm sure there'll be another version coming soon to fix more bugs and issues. There's other versions, other options to use, like the filter. Don't use that. All you need to worry about is the source output. Earlier versions, you had some issues with like audio syncing and stuff like that, but most of that's been worked out now. So yeah, that's how to use NewTek NDI integration with OBS. I hope I've helped some people get streaming set up and be able to stream with no capture cards. Till next time, man. Peace.